All right, guys, I'm one and only James Williams, Dog Waters, and I'm back, and we're diving back into this report. And for the purpose of this, I made myself as small as possible so you can see the words on the screen, um, and we'll dig into it. So, yesterday we kind of glossed over some of the things, just looking for names of people from our field that showed up. We got quite a few names that popped up that they referenced the work of those people in this report. And I think the first thing we need to establish is that it lends credibility to those people in our field who reached those heights. We should congratulate those people that they have come up in this report. Yesterday, we established that there were talking points in the news which were being used to kind of control the narrative around this report, and came to the conclusion that this is something that these gentlemen put out to the best of their ability to address this topic. I don't think there's much more that they can do because the way it affects being ostracized is a real threat for them, and it's something that can be a problem. So I think what they did was they opened the door for a conversation, and more importantly, they opened the door to add what I would call credibility to a lot of the things that we've been saying, which we know to be true. Excuse me. All right. Recent years have seen increased public attention and indeed concern regarding unidentified anomalous phenomenon, UAPs. Hypotheses for such phenomenon tend to fall into two classes: conventional terrestrial explanation, human-made technology, or extraterrestrial explanation, advanced civilizations from elsewhere in the cosmos. However, there is a third minority class of hypothesis, an unconventional terrestrial explanation, outside the prevailing consensus view of the universe. This is the ultra-terrestrial hypothesis, which includes a subset of cryptoterrestrial hypothesis, namely the notion that UAP may reflect activities of intelligent beings concealed in stealth here on Earth, underground, or in its near environs, the moon, and or even walking among us, passing as humans. Although this idea is likely to be regarded skeptically by most scientists, such is the nature of some UAP that we argue this possibility should be summarily demised and instead deserves genuine consideration in the spirit of epitism, humanly, and openness. Basically, they're saying that if you believe that stuff comes from, it's either human technology or extraterrestrial technology, then you have to consider this third hypothesis, which is there are things on this planet that are not human or have been here on this planet for quite some time. So that's the premise of everything they're talking about. In the news, they said it was a mix of philosophy, science, extraterrestrials, and ultra-terrestrials. All right, so that's what the paper's about. Let us get to digging in. I want to start with, we addressed Bigfoot, and we found lizards in here, or they call them dinosaurs or evolved dinosaurs. So we're going to go Control F, and we are looking for fallen. All right. However, since the moon is so larger orbit and Earth is so perfectly circular, this idea is falling out of favor. Let's look up angels. All right. Magical crypto terrestrials. The ideas canvassed thus far, while not generally accepted by contemporary natural science paradigms, nevertheless still fit somewhat within their rough boundaries. Aliens on the ocean floor or subterranean humanoids would be highly surprising, but not genuinely metaphysically revisionary in any strong sense, and essentially just involve extrapolating from activities in which we humans already undeniably engage, from flying spacecraft to living in caves. However, as noted above, a striking feature of UAP topic has been the extent has been the extent to which its phenomenon is seen to resist explanation in conventional terms, i.e., craps without visible means of propulsion or sources of exhaust. Such observations have prompted some observers, including the U.S. federal government and defense establishment, to speculate that unconventional ultra-terrestrial explanations are precisely what is called for from interdimensional beings, Lomas 23A, I want to see what that is, to future human travelers, Masters 2019 and 2022, to the panoply of ethereal NHIs recognized in most cultures, such as class of beings known as contemporary West as in the contemporary West as angels, Lomas and Case 2023, which Case and Lomas forthcoming label sacred terrestrials and ethereal terrestrials. Most relevantly here, among these varied unconventional hypotheses, is a fascinating class of proposed ultra-terrestrial beings that overlap with notions like angels, but which can still be considered part of cryptoterrestrial paradigm. Specifically, this is the crowd of concealed or fully integrated terrestrial NHIs, or non-convenient human intelligence that go by many names the world over, but which have traditionally been grouped in European cultures under the broad heading of fairies or longaves. Long livers. The long livers, fairies, elves, gnomes, brownies, trolls, and like. Lewis, 1960, noted in his study of the medieval worldview, the long livers' place of residence is ambiguous between air and earth, with their nature conceived as a third rational species distinct from angel and men. All right, we're going to stop right here because we need to go find some definitions. NHIs, non-human entities, is what I'm thinking it's talking about, but just for the record, let's see. NHI. All right, let's find the first reference. Non-human intelligence is what they're referring to as NHI. Okay, so we know that's referred to as non-human intelligence. Let's get back to the magical part. Where is it? Cryptoterrestrial hypothesis. Where are you? What? UAPs. All right, let's just make it easy. Stop acting like you're dumb. Magic. All right, so it should be above here. Magical. All right, let's go. Let's see. All right, boom. All right, here we go. Let's pick up where we left off. I'm interested in knowing Lomas Case 2023. What is Lomas in Case 2023? Copy that. Let's go here. Control V. All right. For centuries, people worldwide have observed aerial phenomena that seem anomalous in some way, some of which, crucially, we today, even with our more advanced technologies and scientific understanding, may still regard as extraordinary. Nope, that's not giving us the reference. That's not giving us the reference. That's just showing what they're referencing. All right, copy that. What the hell are we talking about when we say this? What do they mean? David Lomas Investigation, Season 3, Towards Historical. All right. Act like you got some sense. Let's go. Let's go here. All right, so we're looking for Lomas. It should be in capital letters, Lomas. All right, here we go. The ultra-terrestrial hypothesis, a case for openness and interdimensional explanations. Lomas 2023. So we need to find this. The Journal of Transpersonal Psychology. This is what they referred to this, and then they referred to Case 2023. So who is Case? Case. Here we go. Case, B, and Lomas forthcoming. The sacred terrestrial hypothesis, a case for openness to a religious explanation. Okay, so where is that? We want to see this. Boom. What's on the screen now? Okay, so you guys are kind of seeing what's going on, but let's go here. The cryptoterrestrial hypothesis. Of course, it does that. Let's go back one. We're going to need the words. Cryptoterrestrial hypothesis. Let's take it from here. Cryptoterrestrial. Let's see. I hate when it doesn't. CRYPTO. Okay, of course. Terrestrial. TERRES. TIAL. TER. No, that's not even looking for. I'm looking for the sacred terrestrial hypothesis. So let's take this. I'm looking for the wrong thing. Copy. All right, let's see if we can find it. This might put it back in the center of the screen for you guys. Let me move it over so you guys can see what I'm looking for. Maybe if I do it like this, it'll be easier for you guys to see what I'm looking at. And maybe if I'm smart enough to actually move myself to here, that'll be better for you instead of being dumb. All right. Back to what we are looking for. Hypothesis. Excuse me. So this is where is it? Against the singularity hypothesis, gateway hypothesis, blah, 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 blah. Why wouldn't, let's just look up sacred terrestrials. It would make sense that they would hide the actual damn research. I mean, it's not like, let's go back. Go back. Go back, damn it. Ultra-terrestrial hypothesis, research gate. Hypothetic claims the alien might be living among us. Scientific approaches. Aliens. Alien. I want another research gate, IPC journal, research gate. Research gate's the one that's not giving it. I just saw one. Let's try. That's an article. phillypapers.org. All right. Let's go there. Let's search it. What you got? Interesting. So, they gave it as a reference, but a case for openness and religious explanation of anomalous phenomenon. But there's no link to the reference. Let's click it. These links work, so they didn't link it, so let's try searching it this way. All right. The only thing I can think of is this is buried underneath something else. So let's go by the guys, these two guys' name, and try and pull up all of their work under their names combined. And let's go back, and let's go back here, and let's see again. No. All right, let's go. Let's go back to the original one that we were using. Come out of there. Go back. Let's go to ResearchGate. So go there. Let's type in their names and let's see. Peter Loomis, Tim Loomis. Of course, the one about angels is going to be hidden, which is insane. The only other option I have for finding this is to assume that it's a section of another paper. So, forthcoming Oh, that means it's not out yet. Forthcoming means it's coming. That means it's not out yet. That's why I'm not finding it. Okay. So, let's go to Loomis. Ultra-terrestrial case for scientific openness, interdimensional explanation. From angels to aliens. There we go. Let's go with this. Humankind ongoing encounter with the evolution. Okay, let's go with this one. From angels to aliens. Let's see. Make sure you guys can see this. Yes. This was published in 2023 in the abstract. Throughout history, people observe aerial events. Blah, 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 blah. Let's see if we can get the PDF or they're going to try and charge me. Get access to the full version. Purchase instant access. Access through your institution. Want to account for all your research. What the hell? How serious? I want to know. I want to know. So, let's go there. 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 All right. Okay, so I logged in, bastard. Where's the PDF? When angels and aliens do not receive sacraments. What the hell? Well, screw the institution. So you're gonna give me access to all of their reference material, but you won't give me access to the report. See, this that bull crap. Instant accessing, purchasing is unavailable for this document. So I cannot purchase and I cannot instant access it, so screw you. All right. That's a dead end. Maybe intentionally a dead end, I don't know, but it's definitely a dead end. So let's go back. Let's go back. Come on, can we get back to our PDF? Can we get back to the PDF? Let's go one more time. There it is. All right. I don't know why you zoom so small. Let's make it bigger. Let's see how this looks on the screen. All right. Back to where we started, guys. That was a dead end. All right. So it looks like we're going to have a hard time referencing that material. So we're going to go with the report. But it's important to try, at least try, to reference the material and see the references. And we're not in a rush. We'll keep on going. People say they're researchers, but they don't look up nothing. They just spew the things that others have said and say, I'm a researcher. I know everything. There's nobody smarter than me, but I haven't found any information. I don't even know how to go find information, but I'm a researcher. All right. They were talking about the long livers with the fairies. Okay. One of the most compendious and influential sources of pre-modern fairy lore, for example, is the Reverend Robert Kirk's 1691 book, The Secret Commonwealth of Elves, Fauns, and Fairies, a survey of Scottish Irish folk beliefs regarding the fairies, at least some of which have been deemed credible. The pre-modern traditions about these beings collected by Kirk feature tales of subterranean civilizations engaged in uncanny aerial apparitions and periodically abducting humans, usually for brief periods. I've talked to people who've had encounters with fairies in the woods, and they would disappear to a different realm and go to the fairy's house, and the fairy would try and feed them, and the Holy Spirit would tell them, hey, don't eat nothing from this thing because you will not get back. All right. This, of course, has important family resemblances to CTH, albeit without a space-age framing, which is so intuitive for us today. It might well be some part of a magical framing and the results of pre-modern attempts to interpret advanced technology, whether extraterrestrial, intertemporal, are cryptoterrestrial. After all, according to Arthur C. Clarke's third law, sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. However, we ought not rule out the magical framing potentially being at least as close to the truth as the technological one, which could itself be an imposition by observers anchored on the troops and techniques of space age case of the space age, Loomis case 2023, which we cannot find. It bears emphasis that while Kirk took these traditions and reports seriously, he was hardly credulous, meaning he didn't have any credibility. He justified his modest inquiry into such phenomena by reflecting how much is written of fairies, pygmies, fairies, nymphs, sirens, apparitions, which, though not the 10th part true, yet could not spring of nothing. Meaning, if a tenth of it is true, then some of it has to be true. And while contemporary readers might feel justified in thinking all such reports are now intrinsically incredible, this argument has more to do with metaphysical prejudices than with any growth in our empirical or theoretical acquaintance with the world. Wow. As philosophers and theologian David Bentley Hart, 2009, observed in an essay on Kirk's Secret Commonwealth, one need not believe in fairies to grasp that there is no good reason why one ought not to do so. To see the world as inhabited by these vital intelligences, or to believe that behind the outward forms of nature there might be an unperceived realm of intelligent order, is simply to respond rationally to one of the ways in which the world seems to address us. When we intuit simultaneously its rational frame and the depth of mysteries, it seems to hide from us disbelief in the very possibility of fairies or other spirit forms of life, however one defines them, might be entailed by a materialist metaphysics of mind, though even this is more often asserted than argued. But then, materialism or physicalism or naturalism have been subject of cogent critiques from a variety of mind-first or at least non-reductive standpoints, from Plato's Phaedo right up to the present. Nagel, 2012, Hart, 2012, Kastrup, 2019. Indeed, Hart, 2022, goes so far as to argue that classical theism entails the existence of something like fairies. Theism. Let me just make sure I understand what that means. Excuse me. Belief or knowledge of existence in God, as opposed to atheism. Okay, gotcha. Entails the existence of something like fairies. Of course, one might concede the possibility of belief in the long live, but reject their actuality on the empirical grounds that we simply can't find them, any more than we can find unicorns or Loch Ness Monster. This is a more reasonable position, one even shared at least in part by Kirk and Hart themselves, but it too ought to be held lightly. After all, direct acquaintances with these phenomena has always been believed to be rare, and even today people continue to report a variety of broadly supernatural encounters. Most Icelanders, for example, are at least unwilling to deny the existence of elves, trolls who figure so prominently in their folklores. Iceland Magazine, 2016, while many Irish remain open or perhaps fearful of the existence of fairies. Phelium, 2023, and Hart, 2012b, describe a sometime English acquaintance, Reuben, who believed himself to possess the second sight which allowed him to plainly see spiritual beings around him, until a well-intentioned course of state-mandated antipsychotic drugs closed doors within him, leaving him depressed and listless until his premature death a few years later. Stop, pause. Let me say this. So, if you want to try this is my theory. When Um, when the angels fell from heaven, the places where they landed and the things that they landed into were the things that they consumed and that they became a part of. So when you start talking about fairies and all the rest of this and gnomes and all the rest of this, so let's say you fall from heaven, you fall into the water. That's where you end up. And that's where you end up looking to seek to rule and have dominion over. You say you fall into the trees. That's where you end up trying to seek and rule and have dominion, or into the forest. Or let's say you fall into lava, or let's say you fall into a mountain, or let's say you fall wherever they fell is where they tried to establish their realm and their dominion over this planet. And so it makes sense that, to me personally, it makes sense that this is the reason why people will encounter fairies, they'll encounter pygmies, they'll encounter all kind of stuff. Furthermore, if you go from a biblical standpoint where it talks about them actually corrupting the watchers, corrupting the seed of the entire planet, it makes perfect sense where you get Bigfoots and dogmans and reptile people that like half dinosaur, half human. All of it makes sense. I mean, from a biblical standpoint, it all makes sense to me. And from a research standpoint, who've talked to eyewitnesses who've rebuked things in the name of Jesus Christ that just weren't human. Point blank, they were humanoid, but they weren't human. Some things that looked like their friends that wasn't them, that wasn't exactly right. Dogman, Bigfoot, things that look like upright walking lizards, upright walking alligators. I mean, I've talked to people who've experienced so many things. I just chose to settle in on the topic of Dogman because it was the topic that I liked the most to talk about. And I figured it was the biggest mystery. But when you look at my work in the totality of all the people I've talked to, and many of the interviews that I haven't let go or brought to the forefront, or the stories I haven't brought to the forefront, it supports this completely and totally. Which they are calling the sacred terrestrial hypothesis. All right. Anyway. All right. So this guy ends up getting depressed and he has a premature death. New York Times columnist Ross Douthat, 2017, even argued, as per Valet, 2008, that the most likely explanation of contemporary UFO narratives is that they are of a piece with stories about contemporary UFO narratives is that they are, quote, of a piece with stories about Northern Europe fairies and their worldwide kith and kin, and that is more reasonable to think that we are reading our space age preoccupations into a persistent phenomenon that might be much more weirder than a simple visitation from the stars. I want to see if I can find that. New York Times columnist Ross. Let me take that whole quote. Let's see if we can find that. New York Times. There it is. Ross, do that. Come on, bro. I'm not paying y'all to read no article. Y'all lie too much, dog. Like, why would I pay? Screw you. Screw you. Screw you. Screw you. Screw you to hell. Why would I pay money to read your article when 90% of the stuff you do is a lie? Let's see what else. Dispatch the story. All right. Staff writer. So this is somebody writing an opinion on his opinion. I am completely in favor of federal spending on UFO research. So this is his opinion. I don't really give a damn about your opinion. I want to hear what the guy said, and I'm not paying for it. He has a Substack. Mother Jones attacked this guy in 2001. If you don't know, Mother Jones is a CIA-run organization. Theories of persuasion. Damn it. Let me see something. See, that's the problem with these paywalls that they got. Don't hit me with the paywall. Okay, good deal. 2000. I am completely in favor. Okay, so this dude just jacked this whole thing. His federal spin outlaying whose existence was real to surprising little paranoid excitement by the newspaper last week. The sign of civilized health to devote excess dollars to the scientific fringe and the hope that the bizarre secrets still await discovery even in our satellite surveilled world. So good of Harry Reid and his little green men obsessed billionaire pal to keep the flame of weird curiosity alive. This sounds like a hit piece. But I also doubt that such research will ever prove that the strange lights and vessels filmed by human pilots actually belong to a starfaring species that come to our planet to study, experiment, or even offer us a hand up, or else ruthlessly invade. Other sapient species may indeed be out there, but the most parsimonious explanation for all the UFO encounters since Roswell is not that our nuclear testing or space programs finally inspired the galaxy to come see what humanity is all about. Rather, it's that our alien encounters, whether real or imaginary, are the same kind of thing as fairy encounters or human past of the human past. Part of the enduring phenomenon, which interpretations shift, but those essentially are consistent. Let me make sure this is on the screen. There we go. Are essentially consistent, featuring the same abductions, flying crafts, and lights and tricks with crops and animals in time and space that seem the same shape-shifting humanoids and sexual experiments and dangerous gifts and mysterious intentions. This was the argument of Jacques Vallée, a French-born scientist and a wonderful character in the annals of ufology, who wrote a wild book in the heady year of 1969 called Passport to Magnolia, From Folklore to Flying Saucers, which the Times UFO spending scoop gave me an excuse to read. Vallée's conclusion is basically the reverse of Erich von Däniken's thesis in Chariots of God, published to better sales the prior year, where von Däniken argued that old myths and biblical tales alike contain evidence of ancient alien civilizations or visitations, and an idea picked up most recently by Ridley Scott's Alien prequels. Vallée suggests that contemporary UFO narratives are of piece with stories about North European fairies and their world with kith and kin, and that it's more reasonable to think that we're reading our space age preoccupations into a persistent phenomenon that might be much weirder than a simple visitation from the stars. The quasi-magical thesis made Vallée, as he put it, heretic among heretics. The UFO believer, who rejected the UFO community's hope that their efforts could one day be incorporated into the normal sciences and lead us to some Spielbergian first contact. But his argument for the basic continuality between folklore and flying saucers are quite compelling, and I suspect he's correct about the commonality of these experiences. Okay, so what am I listening to? I'm listening to him explain that at the end of the day, they believe that UFOs and flying saucers are supernatural, sacred terrestrial encounters that are with things and beings that have always been here on this planet. You know, the funniest thing about this is most Gnostics will sit there before you and explain things and act like everything that they say discredits the Bible and discredits Jesus Christ. All I'm hearing is what I've heard before when I read the Bible. I mean, all the way down to the reports out of Antarctica where people in Antarctica were encountering things that were attached to the back of their necks and to the back of their spines and would control them, and their eyes would glow. Sounds like a TV show, Stargate SG-1. But it also sounds like anybody who's dealt with deliverance or been delivered from a spirit, you know that when something detaches from you, it detaches from the back of your neck and your spine. That's why when people who have something prayed off of them, They feel like, I feel like a weight was lifted off of my shoulders. Or they'll tell you, I feel like something left the back of my neck. It's no coincidence that all these things kind of are intersynced and they're all in common. It's no coincidence that we talk about the marine kingdom and people transforming and morphing into mermaids and sirens and all kinds of crazy stuff. It's just no coincidence. No coincidence, but nonetheless. Moreover, some UAP reports, back to the report. Make sure it's still there. Wow, I've been going for a minute. Let me see if I can make this bigger. That's better for my damn eyes. All right. Moreover, some UAP reports, while not explicitly connected to traditions concerning fairies, bear striking resemblance to aspects of those traditions. Indeed, this is the central theme of Vallejo's 1969 classic, Passport to Magnolia, on UFOs, folklore, and parallel worlds. I probably want to read that. It's a classic book. Okay. Some of these encounters described above, for instance, abductions near Mount Shasta, already rhyme in significant ways with fairy lore. Another intriguing example is the spat of airship sightings in 1896 to 1897 that captivated the attentions in the U.S., which, as charted by Vallée, involve aeronauts interacting with witnesses in ways that have strange dreamlike qualities. Perhaps even stranger are the occasional references to mysterious lands concealed within Earth that are home to non-human intelligences, so NHI. In some sense, this could be regarded as non-logical, in that they have no easy accommodating by a conventional understanding of Earth's geology and geography, and instead seem suggestive to another terrestrial dimension that is usually unseen. One prominent rumor centers on a military mission from 1946 to 1947 known as Operation High Jump, led by Rear Admiral Richard Byrd, ostensibly to establish an Antarctic research base. This trip itself was well documented. Byrd, 1956, however, there have long been strange rumors regarding the mission, both in terms of its real purpose and its actual outcome, including the claim that Byrd himself was pulled through some kind of vortex while flying and encountered a fantastical city inside the Earth inhabited by advanced races of beings. Significantly, although certain aspects of these rumors have been debunked, as for instance explained by an episode of the Y-Files in 2022. The Y-Files. Why is that? Why would the Y-Files actually debunk something? What the hell is the Y-Files? Somebody explain to me what the hell the Y-Files is. Could somebody explain that to me? What is the Y-Files? Okay. Is this what we're talking about? I don't know what gives I don't know the guy, but I don't know what gives him credibility to debunk anything. But okay. That's a ding against you. That's a huge thing. I'm gonna stop right here and I'm gonna tell you guys something. If in fact they're referring to this show, this YouTube channel, the Y-Files, as I guess the only way to figure out is the Y-Files Admiral BYRD. Operation High Jump. Let's just make sure I'm not. Wow. Okay. Wow. What does that mean? That means a lot. That means that is very significant. Let me read this again. However, start here. However, there have long been strange rumors regarding the mission, both in terms of its real purpose and actual outcome, including the claim that Byrd himself was pulled through some kind of vortex while flying and encountered a fantastical city inside the Earth, inhabited by advanced races of beings. Significantly, although certain aspects of these rumors have been debunked, as for instance explained in the episode of Y-Files. Okay. Other parts have nevertheless potentially credible, including Byrd's appearance to have a period of missing time on his flights and intensive UAP activity that could be interpreted as being in service of protecting a secret base. As a result, the story has compelled the attention of UAP scholars over the years. Harrison, 2021. That said, it does likely fall into the category of myth rather than radical reports, on a par with Churchwood's 1926 Tales of Mu. Still, such is the sheer high strangeness of the UAP topic, and potentially also of Antarctica itself, about which there are numerous UAP-related narratives besides the association with Byrd, including NHI bases as well as unusual photographic data that seem to suggest anomalous structures that we should not completely rule out. Okay. So rumors have been debunked, as for instance explained in the episode. I'm gonna tell you like this: when you find a YouTube channel that pops up in this, it's a double-edged sword. It really is. I mean, it's a double-edged sword. I'm gonna leave it alone because I don't want to hate on the dude. I never really watched the guy's content. His content may just be that phenomenal. He may just do that well of a job explaining things. But I don't know. I don't know. It's good to see somebody from YouTube pop up in the Harvard report. Granted that person is not a disinformation operative. Don't know. Haven't watched enough of the man's content to even say that, so I won't say that. But I'm just saying. I'm leave it at that. Cryptoterrestrial suggestions, UAP activity. All right. Here's where I'm at now. I know the story of Admiral Byrd. I know the story of Antarctica. I really want to dig a little bit deeper into the references. Byrd 19, and I don't want to go pull a man the Wi-Fi show, so we'll go here. Passport to Magonia on UFOs, folklore, and parallel worlds. All right, let's see if we can find this. If it's going to actually give us an opportunity to find out, it's going to be a bunch of bull crap. So this is an entire book. Do not have time to be going to find no damn entire book. Read the entire book. So, videos. All right. Let's go see what this guy actually has to say. Okay, good. It's going to play. Let's make sure the audio is actually going to play where you can hear it. And it won't play. I will be editing at this point, but we're going to go and see if we can find him talking more than once. And we can. I'm being told we need to look at this in 1990. Why? I mean, why am I not listening? I'm tripped out. I'm tripped all the way out. Like, what is wrong with you? YouTube downloader. That one. And nope, I'm being hard-headed again. And this one is what I'm being told to get. Stop being hard-headed. You make life hard on yourself when you're being hard-headed, son. Bounce around trying to find stuff on your own, or you could listen and make your life easy. All right. Let's hide that window. Let's add a source. These things should happen fast if you actually listen. Start with that one.
So I've had no direct contact with the Vatican.
Pause you. All right, we're back. Let's see what Mr. Jacques Vallée has to say. I don't know how many of you guys have heard of him. I've never heard of this guy.
So I've had no direct contact with the Vatican. I've worked with researchers in the U.S. who actually went to the Vatican and discussed the subject with officials there. My understanding, I cannot speak for the Vatican, but my understanding is that there is a new approach to this kind of experience, this kind of sighting within the church today that is open to the idea that there could be, intelligent races throughout the universe. Now that, of course, raises a question of dogma. I know the notion of dogma is not as important now as it was before, but there is a question of belief. And of course, for a long time, the belief, certainly when I went to church as a young Catholic boy, the belief was that we had been created by God, as a unique form of life and intelligence, and that the earth was special in that sense. The Bible seems to say something different. It seems to say that the legions of God came from throughout the universe and so on. So that opens the idea that there is a higher level of consciousness throughout the universe. The current Pope has been very clear in saying that if he met an extraterrestrial and that extraterrestrial wanted to be baptized, that he would baptize it, So there is a profound evolution of belief. The same thing within the public. For a long time, the public was scared of the subject. That may have been a reason why the subject was kept so secret in the U.S. that there was a very strong religious presence, especially in Congress, for example, that did not want to infringe on religious traditions and religious freedom in the United States. So the subject was seen as something that was marginal and what was should be kept should be kept quiet until there was an explanation for what people saw. Now that's much less important because we have about over 400 men or women have gone into space. So the idea of going into space is not as loaded, in the public imagination as it was, 50 years ago. So now those things are more accepted, I think, by the public, and that's why I think things are a little bit more open, including in Congress.
Wow. Give me a second, guys. I'm going to say this. So, the concept that the reason why aliens or UFOs or fairies or fallen angels have been hidden from society because of religious reasons is absolutely asinine. I'll tell you why. So at the same time period where, that video said it was in 1990. It couldn't have been in 1990 because it was this same Pope that we have now that said that he would baptize aliens. I don't know why that video is positioned like he did this interview in 1990. But at the same time, while that information was being hidden from the populace, you've had each and every damn demonic thing that you could ever see happen in our government, from abortion to say Satanism being instituted in schools, to the Ten Commandments being taken out of offices and out of state houses and replaced with statues of Baphomet and everything else. So to sit here and tell me that it couldn't be revealed to people because of religion or religious beliefs and religious stances is absolutely insane. Because there's been an assault on that at this entire point in time. And a lot of the assaults have been supported by people who've been in Congress, like people who've been in federal government. So that don't make no damn sense whatsoever. That don't make no sense whatsoever. So there's got to be another agenda or another reason behind it. And I submit to you that it's because these are fallen angels and that all that stuff has been working together in sync. Just like I submit to you now that one of the most popular topics on YouTube is Nephilim. Everywhere you look, somebody's like, the Nephilim this, the Nephilim that. What the hell is the Nephilim other than fallen angels and the children of the fallen angels? And that's the most popular topic there is. So what we're seeing is all these things becoming, it's like they're all working in sync all at the same time. And these things are being exalted in front of your eyes. Remember, I told you guys, I probably was the only person that's ever told you in the crypto community that this is a religion and that it's worship. And the more I dig into this, the more I see this is the next thing that people are worshiping. I mean, just quite frankly, that's what it is. And I'm not done digging into it, guys. I'm just going to keep on going. I do want to hear what else this man has to say. I do want to hear what else he has to say. So we're going to pop up this other clip and see what else he brings to the table. Give me a second. Should be able to do it with the same one. This one's a little bit longer. This is him. That was him talking about the Vatican and UFOs. Okay, I'm sorry. That was a recent clip. This is him talking to George Knapp in 1990. So this is going to give us, we're going to see where his beliefs have began and where they are to this day. So we got a more recent insight into what he was thinking. Let's see what he was thinking in 1990.
Welcome back to On the Record. Dr. Jacques Vallée is an astrophysicist who provided the inspiration for scientist in the film Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Vallée believes that UFOs are real, that they leave behind physical evidence, but that they don't necessarily come from outer space.
I'm talking about when I listen to the witnesses, and I try to listen very carefully.
I'm going to pause and I'm going to say this right here, too. This is 1990, and this is George Knapp in 1990. It's amazing the level of dishonor that I see, like, in the UFO paranormal community. People are like, oh, George Knapp is not much. He's not hitting on that. The dude been in this field since 1990. And many of the people who I've seen talk against him, you ain't did a damn thing. 1990. We're in 2024. While you was wiping your ass, George Knapp was talking about these things. And I just, as being a person who's been in this field, who reached a certain height, I've seen this quite a few times where people will just be like, oh, this guy's this. 1990. Anyway.
Carefully to what people tell me. They are describing phenomena and objects that appear very often out of nowhere, disappear on the spot, objects that are changing shapes, objects that merge together. If the technology or the phenomenon can do that, what that tells me is that it is manipulating time and space dimensions in ways that are beyond our science. And if they can do that, they can be from anywhere, anytime. They don't have to be from a particular planet in outer space.
You have also done some exciting research on physical manifestations, other physical manifestations associated with UFOs. Describe that.
Well, what we know, I think the way we get into trouble as scientists talking about UFOs is that we mix up three different levels. There is a physical level, there is a physiological level, which is what happens to people like you and me when you get close to one of those things in a close encounter situation. And then there is a belief level, the mythological or sociological level, if you want. On the physical level, what we know today is that UFOs are a lot of energy in a small space. I've just published a book called Confrontations, in which I've gone through the basic observations of the light and the energy from UFOs. What we know is that these objects represent probably the energy of a small nuclear plant in a small volume. And it's manifested in light, in microwaves, and in pulsed microwaves. Now, we don't know a lot about what pulsed microwaves do to the human brain. So I've spent a lot of time looking at the medical effects. For example, in 1988, I spent 2 weeks in Brazil, in the interior of Brazil, from Fortaleza to the Amazon, talking to people who had seen the beams, had been injured by beams from UFOs.
Let's stop right there and talk a little bit so YouTube won't act stupid, because YouTube likes to act crazy. I really don't have anything to add to this. I just think it's absolutely amazing that, quite frankly, I came to the same conclusion as it pertains to cryptids, and I had never heard any of this. But there's only so many conclusions you can come to when you actually talk to eyewitnesses and actually gather real data, because the data sets, when you really look at them, if you like collect it, you will see that there's an energetic phenomenon that's associated with cryptids, where people can literally feel them and sense them with their body when they don't see them. Like, there's an energy wave pulsing at them. There's a spiritual aspect of it, which he's talking about faith and belief in it, because there's other spiritual entities and beings that are there. And then there's the physical aspect of it, where they throw things at you, they hit you with things. People have been killed and maimed and hurt. I mean, wow. All right, that's enough of me interrupting him. Let's let him talk.
And there is no question that there is a lot of concentrated energy that in a form that we don't understand.
Injured how? Burned?
Not really burned. There is impact on the skin. They do describe a hot sensation, but the beam would also pin them down and push them. And we don't know how to make a beam that does that.
How many people did you talk to?
50 people in those villages, in those different isolated villages.
Does that beam pushing them down and pinning them sound a lot like sleep paralysis that people go through? Does it sound something like sleep paralysis? Keep on going.
And they describe the lights, the frequency of the light. They describe the flickering. They describe the objects, which in many cases were very, very close to them.
What do you make of the whole abduction hypothesis?
There we're going to the second level, which is the physiological and psychological level. There is no question in my mind that something has happened to those people. In other words, those are real occurrences. Those are not imaginary or purely psychological. I said before, we don't know too much about what happens to the human brain when you're in a situation where pulse microwaves are in your environment. It's possible that people who get close to a real UFO go into an altered state in which their perceptions can be manipulated. And what is critical there is to be able to retrieve the memory from those witnesses. And that memory very often is erased or is not available to them, or may be replaced by hallucinatory or delusionary material. So my problem with the whole abduction, and I'm trying to choose my words carefully here, my problem with the whole way abductions are studied is that the hypnosis, very often hypnosis is used by people who are not trained to do that. And I would caution anyone in your audience who has had an abduction experience only to seek counsel from people who are trained as clinical hypnotists or as MDs in the use of hypnosis.
But hypnosis by itself is a useful tool.
Yes, but it's not necessarily going to give you the truth. And I think you have to look at the standards for the admissibility of hypnosis in court, for example, to find what the pitfalls are, because it's very easy to influence people with your own belief. A person under hypnosis will easily pick up what your own beliefs are and what you expect them to say. And they will lead you, consciously or unconsciously, they lead the witness to say certain things. And I have a lot of trouble with that. I think it is unethical, and I think it's not going to get us to the truth.
You said it is that something really is going on.
Yes.
But is it what they're describing, abducted by strange beings, that kind of a thing, or is it all psychological?
I don't think it's all psychological. The beings have been described also by people who were not abducted, in quotes, by people who were at some distance. I just spent a week in the Soviet Union talking to research groups there, especially about the Voronezh case, in which dozens of witnesses, not just kids, but also adults, have seen different kinds of beings. But there is a problem with the way those beings are described in this country. Over the last 2 or 3 years, we've been bombarded by a lot of marketing, of very, very good marketing, to promote certain books and certain movies that introduced the idea that the beings were always 4 feet tall, were always bald, and had big eyes. Well, that's one kind that has been described, but it's not the only kind. And many other kinds and it's interesting to speculate as to why the American public is being bombarded by that particular picture of an alien.
I can tell you why the American public has been bombarded with that particular type of picture of a damn alien. Because they don't want you to see nothing else. They don't want you to understand that they got things walking around here that look like me and you that ain't human. They non-human humans. I done said this. Non-human humans. Lizard people that look like me and you that ain't human. And they're in places of power. That's why they got you focused on the little gray men, the little green men. Hey, let's all go to Area 51 because that's where all the alien technology. You really think that the most marketable place is the place where the damn aliens is? Come on, bro.
Well, why is it?
Well, maybe someone is, there are lots of games being played behind the phenomenon itself. In other words, there is a real phenomenon, but there may be, and here we're talking about the third level, the sociological level. If you could make people expect aliens, you could manipulate public opinion.
We'll come back to that in just a moment. You are something.
No, don't come back to it. If you can make people expect aliens, you can manipulate public opinion. You can manipulate them to focus on aliens as opposed to focus on demons, as opposed to focusing on fallen angels, as opposed to focusing on non-human intelligences that are in human skin suits that run your country. And when you touch the back of their neck froze up. Or when they're in public, they do stupid stuff like this. They stand on stage and just stand there and stare. Non-human entities that want to destroy this planet. like DJ Eugenics, like Urinal Havari, non-human entities. Point blank, period. And then you have to figure out what it means. What does it mean to be human? I mean, what does it really mean to be human? What does it mean to be a man or a woman? I can tell you biblically what God thinks of us as to be as man and as woman. It says that men ought to always pray and never faint. But what does it mean to be human? These are the questions that AI and all the rest of this stuff is getting ready to challenge the foundations of what it means to be human. I know I'm sounding crazy. Everybody be like, DW, you crazy. No, we've been watching the videos. You've been watching me go through this. And the conclusion that you got to come to is this is really about what it means to be human. Because there are non-human entities out here, non-human intelligences that are waging war against humans. You can call them damn fairies. You can call them aliens. You can call them demons. You can call them fallen angels. All I can explain to you and make it clear is that they are non-human entities that do not have the best intentions for humanity whatsoever. They are currently trying to drive you to nuclear war. They just killed off 30 million people plus with that boop. They are currently telling you that you're not going to be able to eat meat and eat chicken and you're going to eat bugs. And when you start to look at what they want you to do, then you kind of get an idea of what they are. When you kind of get an idea that they want the sun blocked out, that they want to terraform the planet, you get an idea of what it is. I'm taking a break. How many more minutes? I got a minute left of this man talking, and then I'm out of here. Because it's so obvious to me, dog. I don't know if it's obvious to y'all. It's obvious to me what's going down out here in these streets. They live. We need Rowdy Piper and his damn shotgun, and we need to make sure that he don't have no bubble gum whatsoever. In fact, wherever Rowdy Piper goes, we need to buy out all the bubble gum so all he can do is kick ass. Because that's what's going on out here in these streets, man. That's what's going on out here in these streets.
Of an anomaly. I mean, a real scientist who's studying what's described as
there are a few of us. There are a few of us. Most of them stay underground because they don't want to put their jobs in jeopardy.
Would you
Pause again? Let's go back. Last year, I'm talking to cryptozoologists and other scientists about evidence that we found, and this is dude talking about this in 1990. He said they didn't want to lose their jobs in 1990. And so when you present evidence to them, and I will say this to you, I don't care what nobody says, I'm the one dude in the crypto field that went out and captured evidence and then tried to get his evidence independently reviewed by people who are outside of the field. I mean, and did it publicly and did the interviews and showed straight up. Nonetheless, in the YouTube field, now, and there are probably other people in the cryptid field, but from this YouTube cryptid community, me. James Franklin Williams, the Stankonian ambassador. But nonetheless, it's exactly what I ran into. And behind the scenes, James, I see something, man. But, I can't publicly come out and say it. And they'll come out and say, oh, well, it was too blurry. I couldn't see. And then y'all wonder why you don't even see the narratives around you. When you see a video of something, then people say, oh, it's too blurry. Where do you think the terminology of too blurry came from? Why do you think it exists? It's so bad that people have adopted it and said, well, if it's not blurry, then it's not real. But it's all a psyop. Now, some of the smarter people have hijacked the psyop and used it because they're smart. They're smart. But come on, man. That's why I'm about to start talking about money. I start talking about finances. Because this is not a mystery. It's like right in front of you. I mean, it's not a mystery. I mean, it's clear as day what's
Would your
going
job
on.
be in jeopardy in some sense, or in your reputation? Other scientists, if they wanted to get into this field?
The people, oddly enough, the people I work with are encouraging, my work, and in many cases have sightings of their own or experiences of their own that they have not volunteered.
This is something, though, that is worthy of study by real scientists. I wonder if the day will come when more people will get into it.
I think it should be studied by scientists. I think it should be, we are
30 years later,
it's a
we
very
finally get
interesting
to the point.
time to do this kind of research, especially because we now see that there are many different
34 years
hypotheses
later.
about it. It's not just that either it doesn't exist or it has to be extraterrestrial. There are many other hypotheses. And to me, the UFO phenomenon is, I don't have a solution, but to me it's an opportunity to do some good science and perhaps to test some of our theories about physics. There are theories, for example, today in physics about the possibility of other dimensions beyond time and space. There is a theory called the string theory that speculates about 10 dimensions and not just 3 dimensions of space and 1 dimension of time.
Does the government really care what UFO researchers do? Has the government lied about UFOs? Some thoughts on that when we return.
I'll answer that. They do care. Have they lied about UFOs? Absolutely they have. Do they have technology that resembles UFOs? Absolutely they do. Point blank period. It's that damn simple. I mean, it really is that damn simple. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to wrap it up for right now. We'll come back and we'll dig into some more of this tomorrow, because I frankly don't feel like digging into it anymore. Honestly, I don't. Excuse me. You have to pardon me. I just drank that water for some reason. It combined with the food that I had and made me belch. I'll see you guys later, man. I'm out of here.